fancy intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
Hey everybody, welcome back to today's video, or welcome to today's video, which I wanted to talk about Nurse Chapel. Now, as you can see, I've got Nurse Chapel deployed. Why do I have Nurse Chapel deployed? Because she's freaking good. How freaking good? Arguably the best / second best hostile officer in the game because of her below deck ability. But obviously the initial concern for many of you who will be watching this video is, one, why is Rev sitting down? He never makes videos sitting down anymore. That just happened to happen. Second thing is, can we actually even get her? Why there's an accent, I don't know. But I will say this, consider it a hint. There could be sourcing for Nurse Chapel being planned for the game, for players, like to actually be able to get her and use her. So with that in mind, let's talk about Nurse Chapel and how she works, rolling out in April 2024. So we'll start with the officer ability, which is increasing the amount of volatile ISO matter you get from destroying Gorn hunters. Now, as you tier her up, this will become a better ability, but I think most people will know and agree and understand already that the officer ability is not the value of Miss Chapel. It's in fact her below deck ability, Protocol 12, which is at the start of combat. Stranger World Chapel increases your isolytic cascade, difference between just normal isolytic, by a percentage depending on what level you have her. Now, I happen to have her at tier 2 right now, so mine's 10%, and you see it scales up. The best way to describe this is officer-wise, it's like having Enterprise-y data in his officer ability, except you're putting it as a below deck ability. So here's Enterprise-y Data's officer ability, which you see I currently have him rank 4, he's 30%, but you took that, which is already a very good ability, and you put it below decks. So more potential oomph. Now, what I want to do is kind of show you, how good is it actually? And to do that, we'll take the numbers off the screen, and I'm going to use a basic hostile. Now, when it comes to isolytic, obviously the idea is it's going to make it easier to fight the Gorn hostiles if you're a level 40 plus player. This, I'm running basically a non-starter as a captain, no really big deal with the Enterprise E Troy. I just wanted to show off how this works and how a full log will go. So I just had her up there for her captain's ability, which doesn't exist, and her officer ability, which is just a bonus to officer attack right there for shield health. So it's not really going to affect how we do the logs. But I am running everything I would normally do below decks in this one with critical, hull breach, got an Odo in there. There's Nurse Chapel, as well as running the man, the myth, the legend, Lieutenant Tom Paris. So what did we end up doing? Well, of course we won. How long did the fight go? 8 rounds. But what I want to do is compare with you how that actually looks. So this was our control test. Now, this one went 18 rounds, and I put basically nothing below decks. If you didn't know this, you can actually take a look at what you put below decks by hitting the little I button in your battle log and then scroll on down. You can see here, the only thing that was left was Odo for crit hit, but I wasn't running criticals clearly with Hugh, and I left Tom Paris. But this is our flat run to kind of do testing with. You can see it went 18 rounds. Well, what happens if I use, say, Hugh? That's a classic. We know that Hugh is a normal run here, so I added Hugh for this one. How many rounds did that go? So we went from 18 rounds in our static test to 12 rounds. So we basically cut it down by 33%, which is what you want to do, right? The quicker you can take down a hostile, the better you're going to do, and the more you can actually kill. So there's your critical starting to kick in with Hugh. And then I took it a step further, and we did it with just Nurse Chapel. So if we hit this button right here, you'll see below decks, we don't have Odo or Hugh, but we do bring Chapel around at tier 2, and this ends up going 11 rounds. So what you're seeing here, the visual of what you're being given, is the value of isolytic. So simply having her below decks, even at a low tier, is going to result in a lot more damage. Now, there are a lot of factors that go into this. For example, what researches have you gotten? Have you bought the 3 primes that exist that some people want to go after for isolytic? Now, personally, I would never buy those primes. I don't feel like they provide a lot of value to me in the game. But it does come back to remembering how isolytic works. So this is how just standard isolytic works. Remember, isolytic cascade, think of it the same way that criticals apply to regular damage. Isolytic cascade does that to isolytic. The power of isolytic is that it is bypassing standard mitigation and then going directly into shields and hull. So the more isolytic you have, the better you can do. Or if you're facing a hostile like the Gorn hostiles that just came out this year, they only take damage when you're actually hitting with isolytic. So the value is the bigger we can make our standard damage with criticals, with damage modifiers, the stronger isolytic becomes, where you see stuff like this right here, where I'm getting a quarter of my damage is an isolytic hit, which puts a lot down range. Like, it's a much more effective shot overall. And that's what Nurse Chapel provides. Now, when you combine this with all the different officers and all the different things, is it game changing? I think yes and no. Will it make your individual ship stronger for doing things like use trials and running through your hostile grinds? Yes, it will. Sadly, she does not work on armadas, but she does work on every hostile. So whether it be a freebooter, Gorn, silent enemies, all of these, you're going to find a lot of value in Nurse Chapel, where she is simply going to be a huge stat booster. Now, individually, she's not going to overtake, say, what Hugh and B'Elanna Torres do together in terms of damage production, but when you combine them all three together, you're getting an even more explosive output that you find where you're maybe going a little bit higher than you were going previously. Again, it's taking the Enterprise E data ability and putting it below decks. The big key for you as a player is how will you source this? And I could say that Scopely has heard that and preemptively thought of ways of how could we get officers in those players' hands. Now, obviously, that's going to depend on who's going to have access to what, but we do know that the Strange New World crew, as we look at all these different officers that we have in the game, and some are easily sourced, some aren't, one group that we know is usually easily sourced is Strange New Worlds. So I'm curious to see if soon you're going to have something similar for Nurse Chapel. The big key is, does it have a valuable below deck ability? Yes, this officer absolutely does. Something that you definitely want to add either to your main ship to make it even better, or what I've actually started doing is I put it on my second ship to help with all of my hostile grinding, because I'm rep grinding. I'm trying to get my third faction to 1 billion, and the more things that I can have that give me an advantage in that, stronger ships, better output, makes that a little bit easier. So the key is very effective officer, very good, easy to actually trace and see that ability. Now, there is a little bit of a dilution when you combine things like Fleet Commander Sloan and artifacts and primes if you bought them, and other isolytic officers, but more is more. And when it comes to the value as a below deck officer, she is extremely valuable. So if you do see a way to source her in the future, get her, whether it be through a leaderboard, maybe a free-to-play grind through a flash pass, or if they finally add in a way for you to get her in May. Well, May 2024, or any date after that. Certainly one to go after. Now officially, Nurse Chapel, one of the best hostile officers in Star Trek Fleet Command. This is a quick hitter. I just want to show you the basics of it. Of course, we can go into more depth when it comes to these officers in our Discord. If you haven't joined that already, strongly encourage you to. Link is in the description of this video. But if you want to see more into this, because we do try to make these videos to give you just the straight answer. Is Nurse Chapel good? Actually, very good. Must have worthy. But if you want to go into the deeper portions of the math, happy to break that down with you. We have an amazing volunteer team who likes to nerd out on it as well in the Discord. So if you haven't joined, like I said, join. And if you're out there and you want personal help with your account, hit me up, because I love helping out players. I actually went around like server 109, 105, 97, 704, etc., and just asking, hey, players, do you need any help with the game? So feel free to reach out to me at any given time. And last but not least, leave a comment in the comment section down below. Helps out the videos. Share this out with your alliance. And if you're curious, is Chapel valuable? Absolutely. Now, we just got to get her in your hands. Live long and plunder. Stay safe with the Space Cowboys. Deuces. That's me. Catch you on the next Star Trek Fleet Command video. And I am out.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.